Hey guys, Zonfox here, and today it's time to do the AFC North division standings for the 2023 season. Unlike the last few videos, as you can see by just the timestamp, this is going to be a much quicker video. Instead of going over in depth about where they're in power rankings, where other people have them, it's just going to be my personal opinions on them, as well as looking at their big moves and everything else. So, best way to show you is by starting off with the division standings last year. Last year, the Bengals ended up easily winning the division at 12-4. They ended up not playing a game due to the DeMar Hamlin situation on that one night, so they ended up only playing in 16 games instead of the 17. The Ravens went 10-7 and made the playoffs as a wild card. The Steelers barely missed out at 9-8, continuing Tomlin's streak of never having a losing season. And then the Cleveland Browns finished 7-10 to nobody's surprise. So, yeah, the Bengals ended up doing really good until, winning against the Chiefs, where they lost. They absolutely obliterated the Bills in the snow and proved why Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the league, undisputedly. So, let's start with the other team, though, in the Browns. Yeah, the Browns were a very questionable team last year. Because of how much money they were giving him, they ended up going to Watson, despite the fact that Jacoby was actually being a better quarterback. Yes, Deshaun technically went 3-3 to end the year, which was better than Jacoby. But as you can see by the stats, Jacoby was the far better quarterback, had a way better QBR, and had a really much better pass rating as well. Still nothing insane, but just better. The team ended up being middle of the road in yards. They were 14th in offensive defense. And here's what they do. They add Jim Schwartz over Joe Woods. I think that's a pretty decent move. And then in terms of losses, you lose Deion Jones, John Johnson, Jadeveon Clowney, Kareem Hunt, Jacoby Brissett, and Taven Bryan. The one's going to hurt the most is really Jacoby. Kareem Hunt, I think with, how you showed that Dearness Johnson could, be a good running back if you have to, and now you're going to give Ford some extra carries. You don't really need Hunt on the roster if he's going to cause a distraction. Jadeveon Clowney ended up being kind of a disappointment with them, so that's not a big deal either. And you replace him with Zadarius Smith and Dalvin Tomlinson. I think those are good moves, especially Shelby Harris as well. I think that overall, when you look at him, Eli Moore, I think that's a decent option. He was a high pick for a reason. Juan Thornhill at safety should be a upgrade, if anything, over Josh Johnson. So I think that overall their moves are pretty solid. I think this team's going to be much better than they were last year. Well, not much better, but better. Then we have the Steelers. The Steelers are the big question of Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett last year started off really badly, but ended up being decent at the end of the year. It's just, how good do you think he's going to be? Considering the fact that passing-wise, technically Trubisky was better than him, isn't a good sign. I never was really that high on Pickett, and after seeing him play last year, I'm still not. I still think Ritter is a better quarterback than him, and I think that it's just, I don't see him as a legit starter, but maybe I'm proven wrong this year. We will see, because they did give him some nice additions. Allen Robinson gets, another shot this year with him, so instead of, the whole debacle with the Rams, he should get a decent shot. Pat Pete is a great addition to the back end. Cole Holcomb at linebacker and Quan Alexander, immediate upgrades. Landon Roberts is another guy, then couple of offensive linemen, and then Joey Porter Jr. was the big grab. Cornerback, son of former Steeler Joey Porter. He did lose Miles Jack, but I don't think he was as good as everyone thought he was going to be here. Cam Sutton is a decent one. Devin Bush and Terrell Edmonds, Robert Spillane, Arthur Mala, and William Jackson III all range from guys who were really good to kind of a disappointment. I mean, I think that everyone realizes now that sadly they got the wrong Edmonds brother. I think it's just proven that Tremaine has been the better one, for one from the Bills. But he's still a solid one, so yeah, we'll see. But again, this is mainly up to Kenny Pickett. I do think that Mike Tomlin is, all in all, probably the best coach in that division still. I think that if you give him the Bengals team, that team is going to win the Super Bowl, whereas with Zach Taylor, I think that they are able to get there, but I don't think they're as good as they would be with Mike Tomlin. Same goes for the Ravens. Speaking of the Ravens, let's look at this team. Lamar is back and hopefully won't sit out a couple games because of quote-unquote injuries that he really doesn't have at the end of the year, but we'll see. Yes, they had Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley. I can't believe he's a Pro Bowler. Okay, what they do, they got rid of Greg Roman. Good. He was awful. Todd Monken, this is an upgrade by just getting rid of Greg Roman. It's really hard to go, get worse than that. You lose Marcus Peters, Calais Campbell, which that one hurts a lot, Chuck Clark, Justin Houston, and Ben Powers. And you gain OBJ, Nelson Aguilar, Laquan Treadwell, Rock Ya-Sin, Sam Mustipher, and Zay Flowers. Naturally, Zay Flowers and OBJ are the two big ones. You're giving him two legit weapons, though OBJ is one that I feel like people are going to overrate. I think people forget that he did have a massive knee injury, so it's not like he's guaranteed to come back to, being this all-pro type receiver. I think that if anything, Zay Flowers is probably going to end up being the number one receiver. And I just mean wide receiver because I think Mark Andrews is still the best overall receiver on the whole team. Their defense, was actually really good last year. I don't think people talked about it. I mean, top 10 in both yards and points. But without Justin Houston and Calais Campbell, I think it is going to take a step back. So I think the Ravens are still going to be pretty solid. They're going to be around where they were. Lamar is way better than Huntley, the somehow Pro Bowler. So they should be good there. As long as Lamar has a solid season like he's had every year of his career, basically, they will be a very solid team and formidable, but I don't think they'll win the division. Because we still have the Bengals. I mean, Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the league. I think at this point, it's not even like a debate. Essentially, you get number one is Mahomes, number two is Burrow, and then your argument starts. Allen, especially after last year, because even like the year before last year is already becoming questionable, but last year basically proved that Burrow is the better one, especially with how he absolutely obliterated Josh Allen in the snow in Buffalo. Come on. As for Joe Burrow and the rest of the team, though, last year they were a top 10 unit on offense and top 10 in points in defense, but 16th in yards. They did lose a lot of guys in defense, but they really didn't lose that many players overall. Jesse Bates and Von Bell, those hurt a lot. Eli Apple and Trey Flowers, Hayden Hurst, I didn't really hear him do much at all when he was there, so I don't really think that's a big loss. You gain Jordan Battle in the draft. You gain DJ Turner, Miles Murphy, so some solid, replacement and upgrades in the back end. Irv Smith Jr. for Hayden Hurst, I think is a lateral move again, and then Orlando Brown is a massive upgrade. You're getting even more protection for Joey B. Joe Shiesty is going to have a great time this year. I think that it's pretty obvious. I think the Bengals win the division. Joe Burrow is just the second best quarterback in the division. And if he was in the NFC, he'd be by far the best quarterback in the whole conference. So I think it's very easy to see the Bengals win. There's no reason to say they won't repeat at all. Now, number two, I went with the Ravens. I do think the Ravens end up finishing second. I think Lamar has a good enough season to where he can make this team better than the Steelers, which I'm just not too high on Kenny Pickett, and I'm not high on Deshaun. Look, Deshaun ended up, not playing a whole year, so yes, there could be that factor that he's going to come back after being rusty last year and be really good this year. That could happen. I just don't see it. I don't think Stefanski is really an awesome coach. I think he ended up winning that coach of the year just kind of by proxy in the situation, which even when he won it, I didn't even think he deserved it that year. So I think they're going to have a coach that gets fired after the season. I think they're going to have a quarterback that has an even worse contract or nearly as bad as Russ. And so they're going to be the worst team. The Steelers, I think the Steelers and Ravens are both going to be potential playoff teams. Like I've said in other videos, the AFC is just insanely loaded. I could see teams like the Titans, the Dolphins, the Patriots, all being wild cards. The Chargers might sneak into it. The Raiders, if they're healthy, like I said, are going to sneak in. So I feel like there's a lot of teams that could make the playoffs. I do think at least one team makes it as a wild card in this division because the Ravens and Steelers are just both really good. But we'll see. Overall, this has been Zon Fox. If you enjoy this content, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. To finish out all these, we're going to be uploading even faster than we usually are. Instead of every 5 days, it's going to be like every 3 or 4 days. We still have the whole NFC to do. So if you like this format instead of the old one, make sure to like and subscribe as well. And as always, have a great night.